Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio in Woodstock, Georgia. This is Fearless Formula with Sharon Klein. Welcome to Fearless Formula Friday on the Business RadioX network, where we talk about the ups and downs of the business world and we offer words of wisdom for business success. And I'm so excited to have this woman in the studio today. She is the owner and founder of Atlanta Hollywood Acting Studios. It's a premier acting studio here in Woodstock, Georgia. It focuses on training film and TV actors to grow and hone their craft. They have seasoned, talented instructors. You can't go wrong if you are in this industry. Please listen to this interview and welcome to Kelly. I'm going to say it right. Wait, Sirois. Kelly Sirois.
You got it.
I love that it's spelled differently, but God, I really needed to practice it a little bit more. Kelly, thank you for coming to the studio.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I'm excited. I was just saying before the show started, I'm excited to know that there is such a really powerful school that didn't feel like it had to be part of this big Atlanta city, that actually you focus more on people who have access to it right here in our town.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm a little bit of a freak. I don't like to leave Cherokee County.
No, you're not a freak at all. I know a lot of people that think that way.
I'm in the microcosm, but hey, I've created quite the world up here for acting. There was really nothing this way. It was needed, and we just filled a void, and it's been great. Just absolutely fantastic.
And I'm assuming that you've lived in Georgia a long time because you went to Georgia State University.
I did. I got my degree in film and video production from there, my BA. I also graduated from Campbell High School of Smyrna.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a Georgia girl.
Yeah, you are. And there are not that many that can kind of say that they've grown up here like that. So At least people that I've met, it's kind of a nice place to transplant to. But when you find someone who sees the growth that even this whole city has gone through, it must be amazing to really see how much it's changed.
It is. I still run into a lot of my high school friends everywhere I go, so we're all around.
Oh, that's nice. Okay,
Yes.
So 2018 is when you founded this school. So can you tell me about what was the impetus really for starting your studio?
Thank you for asking. Well, I raised two amazing children. I became an empty nester, and I kept waiting for them to be out of the house and not be busy doing the mom thing to get back to my real passion that I've had my whole life. I've been acting since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
My mom was an actress and model, and I did a Coca-Cola commercial when I was really little. And just my whole life, I've took acting classes at the Alliance Theater, Shakespeare classes, and then all through my 20s, I took casting director workshops and things like that. Then I became a mom, and I just kind of focused more on my son's career when he turned 13. He's a musician. And I kept saying, one day I'm going to get back to my acting.
It'll be your time.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that was 2017. I started taking acting classes, and it was fabulous. It was local here to Woodstock, but they closed down abruptly. And a lot of us were left without a place to study. And nobody wanted to drive to Atlanta. And I just so happened to buy the domain name Atlanta Hollywood like 10 years ago for my son, because I was going to make this online portal for him and all these crazy things that I do, these ideas I come up with. But I knew I should hold on to that name. So when that other acting studio closed, I said, you know what? I had a couple people literally come to me crying in tears. And I said, no, don't worry about it. I'm going to open up my own acting studio, and I'm going to call it Atlanta Hollywood. So there we go. And I literally just did that. I didn't even have a place. And so I just reached out to actually my son-in-law, had some executive suite type things like where we are right here. Mm-hmm. And he said, you're more than welcome for a couple of months while you're looking to hold class here for free.
Wow, you can't beat that.
Oh my gosh. It was just a blessing. The community reached out.
Amazing to me how things unfolded so perfectly.
Yes. It didn't feel perfect at the time, but when I go back and it did.
For you to even have the forethought to keep that name too, which is kind of crazy.
That is pretty weird.
Yeah. Well, so when you first found your space, did you have to hire instructors, or the people that were at the school before you, were they also like, please hire us to work here?
There were a couple of teachers that I did bring from the old studio to the new studio. And as time has progressed, I've found new teachers, and a couple of them are still with us now from the beginning. Wow. And one of them is David Cox. He teaches our Meisner class, and he's in his 80s. And I'm in awe of this man. He's amazing. That's pretty much our staple class. It has been. And our best actors take his class. I mean, he's just
What is the Meisner class? What does that mean?
So there's an acting teacher, coach, Sanford Meisner.
Okay.
And he lived in New York. And anyone that has won awards took Meisner classes from him. Old school actors. Oh, wow. He basically, it's kind of like a repeat and behavior type acting. And he's just really, really well known. So David Cox actually took class with Sanford Meisner. Wow. And Meisner, he wrote a letter of recommendation for David to teach class. Wow. So over time, David has kind of changed it. It's not pure Meisner. It's kind of his own take on it, because David met Meisner before he went blind. It's kind of a story. And once Meisner went blind, he had an understudy. And that's a lot of what people learn today in other acting classes is what happened after he went blind. So David likes to teach the method before his understudy came. Exactly. Oh. So, and he's also infused some more of his own thing. He's been teaching over 30 or 40 years at this point. So he's just amazing. We're so lucky to have him. So lucky.
It's his passion, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you can tell.
That's his life.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it. And what I think is important is, like, here in Woodstock, people are learning the very things that people are learning up in New York.
They are.
Or in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have Hollywood teachers. Our tween and teen class on Monday nights is for tweens and teens. And we have a legitimate movie star that teaches that class. She's younger, but she's fantastic. She was Sprite in the Eternals. It's a Marvel film.
Oh, wow.
So she played Sprite. And some of her best films, though, are not, sorry, I mean, that's amazing to be in a Marvel film, but her best acting can be seen in The Lodge and a couple of other shows that she's done. One with Demi Moore. It was so good. I can't remember the name right now. But anyway, we're so blessed to have her. Before we had Leah, we had some other celebrity stars that were teaching our class, that class, Rico and Zoe, Soul, Paris. We're just so lucky. We've got really, really lucky. They found us in a way. It's just been great. Right now we have such a great suite of teachers. I'm just pinching myself.
What I love that you're saying is that in my mind, I guess, the idea of an actor being very successful, like, they wouldn't be interested. They don't have to teach or share what they know. And I always admire people who don't have to be so nice, and then they choose to be nice, right. And really giving and generous with what they know, because they like to see other people succeed. There's something just so heartwarming about that, I think.
I do understand what you're saying, because I wonder why in the world they're even doing that. I'm like, okay, well, you're interested. Thank you.
But it's kind, and it's like the notion of, like, when you get up top, you look back down and see if someone else needs a hand. And so I don't know why I had an idea in my head that maybe, like, people wouldn't do that, but so nice to hear that people do. And you don't have to be in Hollywood or, like, downtown Atlanta, even here in Woodstock, which is just like, makes me feel proud of our town. That we have so much to offer in so many different ways. What is it like to have a studio here in Woodstock in comparison to studios in Atlanta?
That's a great question. I would say sometimes I feel like a little mouse in the big city. I started doing this just as a passion, and it's a business. And some of the other studios, they're SAG.
Oh, yes.
And we're not.
Oh.
So SAG clients can come take classes with us, and non-union can as well. Not that they can't at the other studios also, but there are more rules. I mean, I don't know. It's a little controversial, but back in the pandemic, when people were wearing masks everywhere and businesses closed down, I decided not to close down.
My next question was, how did that affect you?
And I didn't make people wear masks. If they didn't want to wear a mask, they didn't have to. If they wanted to wear a mask, they could. And it was a safe zone, so no one would make anyone feel bad if they did or didn't.
Did you find resistance to that?
Oh, it was horrible.
Really?
Oh, it was horrible.
No way.
Yeah. I stuck to my guns, but I mean, I was yelled at. I lost friends. You just would not believe how controversial it was. It was really horrible. But I feel like that's part of what Atlanta Hollywood has taken this much time. We'll be coming up to 5 years in November.
Congrats.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And it's taken this long for us to get our footing here, to get respect in the industry. If we're not a SAG studio, then big agents or casting directors or whatever might have not looked at us. And I don't know if they were or weren't. I mean, when I send out emails to my database, I can see who's opened them. So some people that used to never open our emails are now opening our emails. They're showing up to our showcases. So I feel like we have earned legitimacy. And now we really need a good marketing person, because we're almost just like this hidden gem that nobody knows about.
Right.
So we could probably, if we just started doing some more marketing, we could probably double or triple our numbers.
Why did you decide to not be a SAG studio specifically? Was there strategy behind that?
I'd like to say there was strategy behind it, but not really. I'm SAG eligible, and I'm just, you know what? I am just not a huge rule follower. If it affects a person directly, but I don't always fall in line very easily. So to be like connected to SAG rules, there's a lot of things, a lot of hoops to jump through. Of course, being with SAG is amazing, and it's just a choice, and I've chose not to. It makes it, I can keep my prices more competitive. I can bring in teachers that, I just have a lot more choices by not being SAG.
I love that energy, because oftentimes it takes someone who isn't a rule follower to make a studio like this, who isn't going to do everything traditionally. And that there's a need for it, clearly, because it's worked for you.
Yes.
That makes me so happy. Okay, wait. You've also been in TV and film. Do you want to talk about some of the things that you've done?
Well, let's see. I have
Coca-Cola, which is the coolest, and it's down the street. It's like the headquarters. So that's really neat.
It is fun. I've never seen that commercial. It was so long ago. My mom didn't save any of those things. So I've never seen that commercial.
Oh, my goodness.
I've done commercials throughout my life. I did a Ford car commercial and Rose's commercial and things like that. Later, since I got back into acting, I've done some of those what do you call them, like crime reenactment shows?
Yeah.
So I played a couple of those. I'm more about elevating other actors to get on TV shows and movies. I did finally book a feature film, and I open up the movie, and I have yet to see it. It's called Wholly Irresistible, and it has, oh my gosh, what is Leah? She played in Orange is the New Black.
Oh, wow.
And her name was Boo. She had the black kind of butchy hair.
Oh, yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her character so much. So she was in it, and another guy from, oh my gosh, here I am blanking out on shows, but the Netflix show that all the teenagers love on the coast. Oh my goodness.
Oh, is it Outer Banks?
Outer Banks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the stars on there, he was in it. And
oh my goodness, how cool is that?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, as soon as I got that, that's what you want, right? That's how you start building your IMDb profile.
Right.
So that's where you can pretty much see what I've done. I've done a lot of short films, films that have gone to the film festivals. One that's winning awards in India right now. And
oh, congratulations. Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Thank you. It's fun. And Atlanta Hollywood has actually produced a couple of films that we've been submitting and winning awards and things like that. Pulse and the other one that's winning awards in India right now, Uncover.
And eventually we'll come back here, right, to be, I'm imagining like at Sundance or something like that. That would be like the path, I imagine.
Yeah, when you do a short film and then you submit them into the film festivals, I think what most people are hoping for is to catch the eye of a distribution company that, like a Netflix or however you want to have your films distributed, possibly even picked up where they would change it and turn it into a feature film. So at that point, if that happens, sometimes you lose the actors and the crew because they want to take it and just kind of redo it. So we're working on a film right now, getting funding for it from my acting teacher, David Cox. He wrote it. It's called Texas Deception. And we're trying really, really hard to get film funding without it being totally taken away from us, meaning our creative choices. So it's a little hard with the price, like when you're trying to get film funding, anything over $2 million, they're going to want to have more control over. So
how often does that happen where someone has a really great idea, it's a great script, and then because someone else is funding it, they get to manipulate it however they want to? And how hard that must be because you want it to stay true to what you've written or someone else has written and that you believe in. But gosh, that's such a dilemma, isn't it?
It is. It is. And, it could be a business model to write content that you don't have an attachment to, which would be easier because then you could sell it and then let go of your baby. However, there's been a lot of work done. What we're trying to do here, when I got I'm just going to back up to when I got my degree at Georgia State. I pray a lot. I prayed to God. I said, God, please, with this, what I want to do is I want to affect film here in Georgia. I want to be part of the industry. I also want to help pipe in, stop the piping in of LA actors only and LA crew. There's a certain level that you could be at, and then everything else was done in LA. And that is changing now. It could be better. But it's my goal to elevate Georgia actors to where they are booking leading roles. And also in the film industry itself is to have our own crew. And we have built an amazing crew. So literally we don't need a SAG crew. We've got our own non-union people, but we also do play by the rules in
that you have to. You have to kind of play the game a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do have both. I have non-union, I have union at my fingertips. So whichever way I end up going, we can pivot.
So you started in 2018 and now you've grown to have employees and a full course load of classes that anyone can take.
Yes.
And I think it's cool about them, as I was looking on your website, they're like 6 to 8 weeks classes. And it's nice because people's lives are so busy, and to commit to a year or even a full semester is a challenge, right? Mm-hmm. Was that a strategic choice? Did it just work out great?
Well, I kind of followed the model of the studio before, and we might be actually changing it a little bit coming up here. But what we have is 5 ongoing classes that you can jump in at any time and take them. And so those classes are ongoing. It's the ones, the Meisner, the real kids, age 7 to 11, or 7 to 10, and then tween and teen scene, which is scene study for tween and teens, ages 11 to like 16. Then we have scene study, we have Meisner, and now we have a new class, a Warner Laughlin class, which we're so excited to have.
I saw like a little picture that you have of a gentleman. It's like a gentleman
Wes McGee.
Wes
yes.
McGee. Yeah, I saw
Yes.
his picture. So he's teaching this class?
Yes. I'm so blessed for that. I would love to circle back around to that.
Okay.
But so we have our ongoing classes, and then we have our 6 to 8 week courses or workshops. So those are the fillers. Those are things that, like you said, it's good for people that don't have time to commit, and they can just, jump in and do something short term. And we have everything from voiceover classes to learning how to use your body, action, fighting. We have dialect classes. We have on camera, on set classes, all kinds of different things that we bring in experts from the outside in.
I love that you have a Shakespeare class too, which is cool.
Shakespeare hip hop.
What is that one?
So I've never heard of anything like this in my whole life, but we have such an amazing new teacher. Her name is Sherry Winkleman. And when she came in to interview, my studio manager, Cassidy, she and I were sitting there. We were blown away by this woman. She's very, I say worldly, like she learned Shakespeare in London, right? Wow. So she's amazing. I'm so excited about her. She's only taught a couple of classes now, so we're getting her class filled, and people love her. So she came up with this idea about she realized that hip hop and Shakespeare have the same diameter,
like a cadence.
Yes, and that you can actually take every hip hop song out there, and you can put Shakespeare over it and substitute Shakespeare for the words that are in all the beats, and it's so much fun. Like, it looks like so much fun. Actually, this is the first class will be held on the 20th of August. So
oh my gosh.
You should take it.
Yeah. I was thinking it probably makes it so much easier to memorize Shakespeare if it's set to something like a rap.
Yeah,
I never even thought about that. Mm-hmm. Well, and you also do audition tapes, I saw. So if someone is wanting to get into the industry and they need their reel, what is that like? What do you do with a student? So
self-audition taping has happened since COVID. And it's new. You used to go audition in front of the casting director. And, once you reach a certain level, you can pretty much do Zoom directly with the casting director and things like that. But now all the actors, if they get an audition, then they have to self-tape.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, and it's important for the lighting and all that, the sound. And a lot of times actors will be, submit things that just like they're not even going to look at. So we do offer that. It's we have the best colored wall for it. It's this really pretty blue wall, and it just makes them stand out. We have the lighting right. We also offer coaching with it.
Wonderful. So the audition is as best as it possibly could be.
Yeah. And then we send it off and label it correctly and do all that work. So
it's intimidating to try to, I imagine, be an actor on your own, trying to navigate a world that has been in place for a very long time. And if you don't look professional, you're just going to get lost.
Yes. Headshots are important. We have the fabulous Jerry King. He's local here, and he's great. And he's in our studio Monday and Tuesday. So a lot of our students are getting their headshots done with him. I also use another guy in Atlanta, Hollywood Headshots. He does a great job, and he gives us an Atlanta Hollywood special.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we got good deals with both of these fabulous photographers, but I call it the actor's toolbox. You have to have certain things. You had mentioned a reel. It's hit or miss with a reel because the main way right now that people are getting film and TV auditions is through Actors Access. Mm. And you can either upload your reel up there, or you can upload clips, which are shorter. And some casting isn't going to look at a reel, and some will. So why not have both, have all of it? So it's one of the things that we do is we consult with people when they're starting. And just, hey, you might want to take a look at your Actors Access and do this, that, and the other. so that it looks professional.
It's like the pandemic kind of forced a change to happen where you don't go downtown in front of casting directors anymore. But what other things have you seen that have changed over the last 5 years or kind of morphed? I know that oftentimes people talk about how important social media is, and I get that. And, TikTok and the Reels and all of those things, are those actually tools that people use in the industry?
That's an interesting question, because I have, through my management side of things, I work with some influencers. A couple, have millions of followers. One of them has 7 million followers.
Wow.
It's a little bit, it's harder for them to be taken seriously in the industry as a legitimate actor. So that's where I'm finding some of these influencers that they want to break into acting. So we're having to kind of pull things back and show them how to be more authentic. When you're on, as you know what that feels like when you have to be on, right? Yeah. So I can't even say if you're acting, because we really shouldn't say someone should act. They should be telling a story in an authentic way instead of acting, right? But I'm just going to keep it simple and call it acting. We need to see them. We need to see their essence and strip away all of the flashy, hey, blah, 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 whatever it is they're saying on their influencer. And then can people, can they buy it? Can they differentiate them from their personality they see to a serious actor? They may or may not succeed at that. They'd have to do something really drastic. They'd have to really be fabulous at acting, or they could get on a show because they are an influencer.
There's power there for them.
Yeah. Oh. And then they want to, it could be like a lower budget film possibly, where they're wanting to get more followers for it and they think that the influencer could do that for them. So if you could have an influencer that has had some acting classes and knows how to actually act, and that's a good way to segue into it also. So
such a double-edged sword.
It is. It is.
But so many people want that route,
Yes.
And it works in lots and lots of ways, but I didn't really think about it in terms of someone wanting to be an actor, if they would be considered like, you're not an actor, you're just looking for more opportunities for fame or something.
Right.
And that's a shame, because I'm sure there is an element of intelligence and talent to become an influencer, Interesting.
On both ends, really, to be a really good actor, to be a good storyteller, you have to be smart. You have to be raw. You have to be able to have good timing. It's really like cracking yourself open and just allowing yourself to be free. And it's harder than you would imagine. People probably make fun of actors or whatever, thinking, "Oh, that's so hard." It is hard. It's hard. You have to take class. I guess if you're working a really difficult job, this doesn't sound hard, but it isn't as easy as people think. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of being told that, you'll never make it. That should just drive you to say, "Oh, okay, we'll watch this."
I think the right personalities, can take that as a challenge as opposed to like, but would you say that when you meet people, that can you tell pretty quickly if they have sort of like an X factor that you just think, wow, this person's going to go pretty far? I can just tell there's like an energy or an innate talent that they seem to have and can tap.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's one of, for me, yes. I don't know about for everybody. That's one. So just to segue into this, I'm also a Hollywood talent manager with the Green Room Talent Management. And I'm the Atlanta division for them. And one of the reasons why I was recruited for that was because of that ability of being able to spot talent. I've always been that way. I've always seen it and encouraged people. But yeah, there is something special about certain people. People can learn it and they can surprise you. but it's pretty easy to see. I mean, if you're directable, you could be fantastic and not be directable, and it would be like, this person might be a flash in the pan if they can't listen and follow direction. That's being directable. So if you can't do that, then you'd have to be so fantastic that a director would be like, you know what, I don't care. I've got to have this person. But there's a lot of people out there that really want that job. So you need to be able to be directable. And some people just don't get it. As hard as they try, it's just certain things you have to be able to do. And it's not for everybody.
So you have to have a tough skin, even in your position, to be and to be able to have tough conversations with people that don't want to hear it, maybe.
Yeah. If I feel like it's something that might be like they're getting discouraged and they just want to give up or whatever, I'll encourage them to look at behind the scenes, because that's so much fun too. I mean, writing, if you're not a great actor, but you have all these ideas, like why not write screenplays? Create content for people.
That's needed, isn't it?
It really is, to have creative content. Yeah. That's not the same formula that you see all the time. Like come up with something. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun really, but it can be more interesting than some of the things that are out there right now. So yes, good content writers is much needed. Also behind the scenes is much needed. If being a film and TV actor isn't your thing, perhaps voiceover is, perhaps commercial acting is. Commercial is a great way to make money while you're building your career. So that's another thing they could do.
Who would be your ideal student?
Good question. Somebody that was hungry and directable. That's it. I mean, if they got those two qualities, then I'll love to work with them all day.
That's awesome. And I think what's interesting too is like, here we are in Woodstock, and I know I keep talking about how we're here in Woodstock as compared to Atlanta, but there's so much talent of people that you just don't even know. You just walk by every day, and you know it's kind of amazing, isn't it?
It is.
As you're watching people grow in your studio, I imagine that must be kind of like, I'd marvel at it. I think I'd be like, look at this person. I just at Publix, you know what I mean? And yet here they are. Could be potentially.
I do that all the time. I literally was door knocking the other day for real estate. Sorry, I didn't even mention that one. But
the other hat you wear.
I'm a Keller Williams sports and entertainment agent. That's why I can tie them all together, because they're all entertainment related. But anyway, I was knocking on the door, and this guy, he was so cute. And I felt a little bit like a weirdo because I'm looking at him funny, and I'm sure he probably thought I was making googly eyes at him. And I wasn't really. I was like, oh my God, that is a face for film. So when I was done, I'm like, I know this is probably way out of order, and you're probably going to think I'm a total, stalker weirdo, but have you ever acted before? Have you ever been an actor? And he was like, no, I've always wanted to. I'm like, listen, you need to get to the studio and take a free class, audit a free class. But that is a face that you're just denying the world of.
Aww.
And he was like, thank you so much. So, but so I think he's supposed to come and audit a class, but I do that I'm always scouting. And it isn't necessarily like just this beautiful person that you would see, what you might consider, society considers beautiful. I'm looking for like a beautiful essence. When a person glows, when they have something special that lights up, that's the person I'm looking at. It doesn't matter about beauty, because that makes them beautiful.
But the inside makes them beautiful on the outside.
Interesting. Very interesting. If you think about film and TV acting versus theater, your face is in a black box. Think how big your face could be in a theater, right? So what if, people who win awards, they're not winning awards when they're opening their mouth. They're opening their mouth. They're winning awards when they are reacting, when they're about to cry. I mean, and it's just so subtle. It's so subtle. So it's like the most interesting actors have interesting looks. They may not be Barbie doll beautiful, but they're just very interesting. So I'm always scouting wherever I go.
You can't help it, like turn it off or whatever. It's just always part of you.
Yeah, I'm such a goober. I love watching Yellowstone.
Oh, I love Yellowstone.
And so they're having, a rodeo in Canton. I'm going to the rodeo.
No way.
I just want to see if I can find a rip.
Oh my gosh. Let me know.
Well, I'm married, so I'm not saying for me, but I'm like scouting. I'm looking for, somebody really.
It's got that energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that it comes down to energy too? Because some of the most beautiful, physically beautiful people that I've ever had the chance to speak to have been some of the darkest energy, and then I don't think they're beautiful anymore at all. It's kind of fascinating that way.
Mm-hmm. That they're usually the most insecure.
Which is fascinating as well.
Well, when people like that have been, I hate to say it, but probably bothered their entire life. Imagine being beautiful your whole life, and people just want that energy, and the most beautiful people have been taken. In my opinion, a lot of them have just. Human interaction to them is not real. Like, people only like them because they're beautiful. And so they start to build up a wall in a way. And it's harder for them to talk to people. And I don't know how to explain it. I know a couple of people that they seem like total jerks until you get to know them, but they've built up this wall, and it's all the same thing. It's because they are beautiful, and people try to take advantage of them. And back in the day when Britney Spears was losing it and shaved her head, I'm the only one at the dinner table that's going, does anyone not see how sad this is? Mm-hmm. All these grown-ups around this kid. She might be, sexualized and all that, but that's another whose parents let them, let that happen, and she's not being protected. And, you have to think of things like that people that are that beautiful, or people that are famous, they're getting taken advantage of. People think they own them. People want to hate them. It's really weird.
And it's like this culture just really glorifies beauty and power in that way. But what you're saying is there is such a dark side too.
There is. But one of the things, I just had a parent literally tell me that they love, and they have their child taken classes at Atlanta Hollywood because they feel that we're safe. And we are. We're very protective, very protective. We have one young man, his name is Daniel Varnell, talking about someone that just brand new off the streets that has this amazing look. He looks like a young Marlon Brando.
Oh, wow.
And he started taking the Meisner class, of course, and my showcase class, and he got picked up by the People Store, which is one of the premier agencies here. He's fantastic. And he's, we're having conversations with him, like what could happen next. And, we were talking about just certain things I'll keep private for his sake. But we were having this, make sure he knew, you don't sell your soul to get a gig. You just don't, because that'll be a short blip. And then you'll probably be a drug addict. I don't know.
Because you have to deal with that.
You watch these kids and what happens to them in Hollywood if they're not protected. It's sad to watch. So we are very, we try to really keep people grounded there, which is very important.
I really wasn't thinking too much about how dark it can be for young actors in particular. I know that there are people that have struggled, and there's this, if you're a kid in this industry, chances are you're going to maybe potentially go off the rails. It tends to happen, but not everybody. But right. I can't imagine what this must be like to see someone who's just sort of innocent and naturally just gifted this way.
Yes.
That you just don't want them to get, I don't know, hurt. I don't know if that's the right word, but
no,
get hurt.
100%. Yeah. If any of the people at my studio, when they make it, there's definitely going to be a good handful one of the young girls that that I manage and is also a student there. She's got a really good agent too, but she's she'll probably be the first one to make it really big. And I'll probably go on set with her and just, her dad is very protective also, and he'll go as well. But yeah, we're going to be known for, they're surrounded by people that care about them. So watch out.
I love that. I mean, that makes you different too.
I think so. I hope so. And whether it does or I think everyone should do this. We can't just let it happen.
So would you say that your classes that you offer, even if you don't want to be an actor, I'm thinking of people who get up in front of other people and have to make a presentation, or they really just need help with their public speaking skills, that these classes could help as well? Because I'm thinking of what other local business owners maybe need that they hadn't thought that, they could benefit from what you offer.
100%. 100%. One of the things it does is it really, for me, okay, as a realtor, one of the things that happened to me over time was that I became, like my agent said, I became Realtor Kelly, just, hi, just happy all the time, and just, almost not, I guess authenticity is what it, and so as you go along, you become professional, you become serious, you're raising kids, and just kind of life beats you up and you're told you have to be a certain way. So for me and for others that I know, what acting has done is it cracked me wide open, and it helped me be vulnerable again. It was hard actually, but it also made me face fears. It made me stop my busy life, because I can't memorize scripts if I'm so busy. You have to stop and you have to focus, and then you have to be in class and you have to be unwound from your busy day. So yes, it helps with so much, in my opinion, stress relief and learning how to deal with stress. It helps you to find your authentic self again. If you never found it before, it'll help you find it finally. For kids, I think it just helps them more with being social interaction. Same thing with grown-ups. Grown-ups can have the same problem. But definitely for public speakers, there's a couple of people that took classes for that reason.
Oh, that's great.
And they stuck with it. They love it. And now they're actors.
I like that you're talking about almost like a mindfulness exercise of being very present in the moment. Because I was just telling you today, I've had 1,000 different phone calls, and I'm like, I'm coming, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But this is the joy that I have right now. Anyway,
that's
my
awesome.
happy moment on Friday.
You do a great job with this, by the way. Yes.
That's recorded. Did you know that that's recorded right now?
I'm saying it again. I think you're amazing.
What? Thank you. Oh my gosh, funny. Thanks. So yeah, I'm finding that I struggle to keep myself really in the moment and be very mindful of the moments that are passing, because already it's the end of July. School starts for so many of my friends' children next week. And I'm thinking, wow, in my mind, I've already booked guests until September. And so I think, so fall, and my head goes ahead really fast. And then I'm like, where did July go? Where did June go? And I'm frustrated because I don't want to not appreciate these moments, because there are times where I get really wistful about things that I used to do, like when I had kids at home all the time and I was active stay-at-home mom. And I think, did I appreciate those moments enough? And the only way I know that I am right now is if I feel somewhat wistful of what I'm doing right now. I imagine, what if this was my last interview I got to do? So feel it like it's real, this is really the end of it, so that I can appreciate it, and then I can not feel so much like I've let life happen to me and I haven't really engaged emotionally. I can be very task oriented, if that makes sense. So I like that you encourage that, and I think a lot of people could benefit from it. At least I know that I would appreciate someone reminding me of that every day. It's easy for me to not, just run from one thing to another.
Yes. I mean, isn't that designed for us to be that way in the little wheelhouse that we're all running around in? It's kind of by design, in my opinion, to keep everyone so busy that they just, I don't know. It is a good way to be reminded, for sure. But to me, I think you have a good connection with people, because you're looking at me in my eyes, and I feel like you're listening to me. That's what acting is.
Interesting.
It's literally if we're talking and you're reacting off of what, I'm nodding my head, you're nodding your head, right? So it's behavior, and it's just paying attention to what that person's saying and absorbing the words. How many times have you had a conversation with somebody and you're not really listening to them? You're like, because you feel like you know what they're saying already.
You're thinking about what you're going to say and not really listening. Yeah.
And not listening. So but you already kind of have that naturally. So congratulations.
Well,
you could be an actor.
Oh my goodness. Well, you're very easy to interview too. And I've really I've had so much fun just listening to what it's like for you on your end. Because I don't think that, I don't really talk. It's just interesting to me. I think like when I think about Atlanta and how big it is, and I always think like Tyler Perry Studios and all of the Marvel movies, and it seems so big and completely inaccessible to someone like me or any of my friends who are here in Atlanta, Woodstock. So thinking about the fact that they could have some very valuable skills that are respected in the industry, I just feel like so lucky it's down the street. Why don't more people know?
I know.
I'm so glad that you're here to talk about it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so thankful. Well, anytime you need a fill-in guest, call me.
Oh, girl.
We could talk all day.
We could. We absolutely could. Well, I can't thank you enough, Kelly Sirois. I got it.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
For coming to the studio and sharing your story. And how could anyone get in touch with you if they're interested?
Thank you. They could go to atlantahollywood.com. Our phone number is on the website. Also, our email is on the website as well. You could, go to my personal website, kellyinc.biz, and find out more information
all your
there.
Hats. All your hats.
How I tie it together somehow.
All under the same umbrella. So that's cool, right?
Yes. It's not fully developed, but it's at least that you can find me and get my direct number there. So
we'll come back anytime. Maybe in like a little while we can check back in and see how things have changed for you as life goes on. It's fun to watch people's journeys, and especially because I feel like you have such a heart for what you're doing. So you're making decisions from like such a good place. So I don't know. I just feel like such success happens when you're in alignment that way. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you also for listening to Fearless Formula on Business Radio X. And this is Sharon Klein reminding you that with knowledge and understanding, we can all have our own fearless formula. Have a great day.